This project is a candy jar lid. You can see the jar here that it sits on top of, and pretty small, about the size of a coaster, so you can probably get this done in one sitting, maybe in an hour or so. I'll update the description to indicate how long it ended up taking me, but I'll just, for this video, go over the specific types of cuts, the different areas of design, one at a time, rather than showing the whole thing, just to give an idea. So I'll go ahead and start with the Gothic leaf in the middle here. And even though the two sides are two separate chips, doing them in one motion, one cut, to make sure that they make a nice smooth shape once it's done. So these ones are definitely important to keep track of the grain direction, which is going this way on here. So making sure the cuts are made in the right direction with respect to the grain. When I first started doing these Gothic leaf patterns, I was often having a line right here because I was on this cut going too far. So now I always make sure when I cut these to stop a little bit short of really completing the cut, just to make sure I don't end up creating those lines on the inside that I don't want. So you'll see right here, drive the tip but stop the blade before it hits that other side. I might have not been successful on that one. The wood kind of came out on me, so a little bit of a knife mark there. And then just removing these little notches from each of the four sides. These are a type of cut that a lot of carvers will just kind of eyeball, either not draw the lines on at all, or draw them on by hand after the fact or whatever, but I just like to be super precise and know that they're all perfectly even and symmetrical. So I always include those in my patterns that I apply to the wood. So that's the Gothic leaf, and same thing for the other ones, obviously. For the immediate border of triangles, I'm gonna, kind of similar to the outside of the Gothic leaf, I'm gonna do all of them at one time, kind of not stopping the knife with each chip, but just continuing around again to make sure I have a smooth and continuous circle, since these together form that perfect circle as a border. So you kind of get into a bit of a rhythm with the knife going up and down continuously around the circle. And then from there it's just finishing out each 3-corner chip as normal. And so then to do the rest of this segment of the design, finish cleaning up these real quick. Kind of typical back-to-back 3-corner chips. One thing that ended up happening here as I'm demonstrating, I did these 2 outside chips first, which I normally wouldn't do, because what ended up happening now is I've got 2 back-to-back chips against this last one, and it's preferred to only ever have one shared side for a given chip, if you can. Obviously, when you're doing a rosette that goes all the way around, the last one's inevitably going to end up being 2 sides shared. But in this case, when I finish these off video, I'll go straight around the sides. So that's those sets of triangles. We'll continue up to the triangles above there. It's a little bit trickier doing such a small project. It's a little bit harder to keep it steady, keep my hands out of the way. And I don't have the rest for my thumb to rest against the other piece of the wood. So, or now in this case, my index finger. So it takes a little bit of practice to get used to carving that way. Alright, and then for the last one, I'm actually going to switch knives. This one that I use most commonly is really thin, and so it has a little bit of flex to the blade. And you can see there, it's not much, but definitely enough that it makes a difference for me when I'm carving. And for these circles, I'm going to want a more rigid blade so I don't either snap the blade or just to help me stay on line. I'm going to carve the circle part first. And I can come back and carve out the diamond shape around it. Trying to figure out how to hold it securely, keep my hands safe, and also let the light show. So that came off pretty nicely. Just a little bit of fine tuning at the end here. And that's everything. That's all the different types of cuts on this. So I'll go ahead and continue separately.